As most of you are aware, this is a time when every one of us in the gun community needs to come together and educate others and write to our representatives to let them know that we don't support any gun bans, magazine restrictions, or any other further violations of the Second Amendment. I've given away these mini constitutions as part of my channel giveaways in the past as both a refresher and also a reminder, because most people take our freedoms for granted every day. It's so important for us to understand why we have our freedoms, and every American should be familiar with our Constitution that grants us these rights. The Constitution is the supreme law of the United States, and it was written the way it was by our founding fathers who fought so hard to secure our freedoms and the ability to protect those freedoms, such as the right to speak freely and the right to bear arms. They knew that governments easily become corrupt. Power tends to corrupt, and absolute power corrupts absolutely. Today, my video is focusing only on the Second Amendment because certain legislation is soon up for vote that wants to start stripping us of our gun rights and take away our right to remain armed and defend ourselves. Despite what politicians want you to think, the Second Amendment is not just about hunting or sport shooting. Our forefathers included the Second Amendment into the Constitution for our own protection against enemies both foreign and domestic. It's our protection against both criminals and tyranny is defined as cruel and oppressive government or rule. But whether or not you're a concealed carry permit holder, a hunter, a competitive shooter, or you just own a gun for home defense, the current legislation and gun and magazine bans that are up for proposal will affect you. The Second Amendment reads, "A well-regulated militia, being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed." I'm extremely grateful for that constitutional right because it allows me to own a gun for personal protection. Sadly, that right of ours is constantly in jeopardy of being taken away, especially in extremely tragic times like these when guns are blamed as the cause of a sick and crazy person's actions. The bans that are being proposed right now are not about our safety, they're about control. The government just wants more control over you and me, and they want to take it piece by piece. This ban and the next ban and the next, they're all just opportunities to start chipping away at our freedoms. I think that people keep saying to themselves that nothing's going to happen. People just don't think that these bans will actually go through. But if we keep thinking that way, then we're not speaking out and bans will go through, starting small by limiting the capacity of our magazines. If DeGette's magazine ban goes through, we will no longer be able to buy any magazines that hold over 10 rounds. And if Feinstein's more extreme legislation goes through, we will no longer be able to buy any semi-automatic rifles, shotguns, or handguns that accept detachable magazines over 10 rounds. And when it comes to magazine capacity, banning a 17-round magazine as opposed to a 10-round magazine is not going to protect our children. We should be protecting what's most important to us. There should be security in every school, and I strongly believe that every teacher should have the right to be armed if they're willing to take on the training required to make the classroom a safer place. An armed society is a polite society. There is absolutely no logic whatsoever in taking guns away or restricting magazine capacity from good, responsible citizens, because when you do that, we all become extremely unsafe, since the only people who will then have the guns will be the criminals and the police. Criminals and murderers will find a way to have guns regardless of what's legal or not. Criminals and murderers won't follow gun laws, so any sort of ban won't affect criminals at all. The majority of gun owners have had background checks and are good, law-abiding citizens who want to protect themselves, their families, and others. When someone breaks into your home and wants to rape and murder you or your wife or your child, a policeman is not there waiting for him. It's our own responsibility to defend ourselves, and if we keep letting legislature chip away at the Second Amendment, we might just be left with revolvers, if we're lucky, but eventually they'll come for those too. It's really important for all of us to be a part of and support a gun rights group such as the NRA or the GOA, because they're the ones that will be fighting for our rights when our freedoms are under attack like they are right now. This is going to be a constant fight, so please join the NRA or renew your membership if it's expired, or join the GOA, but get active. To make it easy for everyone to stand up for their gun rights, I put some links below to find the contact information for your local representatives, and Ruger has actually made it even easier than that. Ruger's website has a pre-written letter that will automatically be sent to all of your local reps, and all you have to do is type in your contact info. So I'll put a link below to that, and please don't just sit back and do nothing. Please just go grab something to eat if you have to and bring it back to your computer, and just take the time to check out the links below and sign the pre-written form letter that I've linked to below as well. We need to flood our representatives' inboxes about the proposed gun bans and overwhelm them and let them know that they need to focus their efforts on fixing the economy instead of finding new ways to restrict and diminish our freedoms. Most of you who watch my channel probably are into sport shooting or self-defense, but hunters also need to make their voices heard. I've spoken with several hunters lately who weren't really concerned with any possible ban on semi-automatic rifles or on magazine capacity because they feel it doesn't affect them since they don't use those kind of rifles for hunting. But we all have to stand together on this and not let fellow shooters lose their rights just because you think it won't affect you in your life. Whether or not you hunt with an AR-15, please just don't be selfish and naive, because eventually they will come for your guns too. If any ban does get passed, it'll just be the beginning of a slippery slope, and they will slowly but surely try to ban everything. Eventually, your standard hunting rifle with a scope will be classified as a sniper rifle because you'll be able to shoot too far and too accurately with it. So anyone into sport shooting, hunting, or self-defense needs to stand together on this issue, or we will all eventually lose our rights.